Sometimes the best finds happen by accident. Here is a story of how we saved this BMW E34 Touring, only to let it go. So, from a chance conversation to a full recommissioning, this is the journey of our E34 520i Touring. We didn't plan to buy it, we didn't plan to sell it, but fate had other ideas. They say everything happens for a reason. We spent a lot of time having a conversation with a Facebook seller about a BMW E38. It was the perfect project for us, a good base for us to add our ATB touch to. For example, some coilovers, nice wheels, maybe some sports interior, but as fate would have it, the deal slipped through our fingers. Just when we thought we had found the one, it was gone and sold. However, there was a silver lining. A continued casual conversation led to the discovery of this BMW E34 Touring, which the seller also wanted to sell. And quite quickly, with only an exchange of a few images and chats, a deal was made. We hadn't planned on buying a Touring. Hell, we hadn't even seen it in person, but something about this car just felt right. Before we knew it, the deal was done and the wait began. And then the moment arrived. Our new project rolled up on a trailer like this. Unseen, unknown, but full of potential. So you might be wondering what this car is and has. Let's dive in. As mentioned, this is a BMW E34 520i automatic from 1995. It has a 2-litre straight-six petrol engine which produced a punchy 147 brake horsepower. Not bad for an old bus. The engine is also known as an M50 B20 with the later dual overhead camshaft, unlike the early M20 engines. The E34 had the usual creature comforts for an SE, but this model had some cool features which we love. Firstly, it had a double sunroof that surprisingly worked. These tend to fail over time. Quite impressive for a car that's 30 years old at the time of this video, with 150,000 miles on the clock. And yes, it arrived to us with exactly 150k. That's wild. The next thing we loved was the fact that it had a detachable tow bar. Not sure what it is, but this excites us. Maybe it's the fact that as car guys, we love the idea of towing a trailer with a car on top of it, and the possibilities it brings, like buying more cars. Thirdly, it's quite cool to see a BMW E34 with the option of air conditioning. This is an optional extra on these models, and it means that the first owner spent extra money to have this fitted. All this is great of course, but just like every old BMW, this has a fair few gremlins which we'll be addressing in this video. So let's get into it and roll back from present day to when we first started working on this car. Welcome back to the ATB channel, guys. We have a new project in at the minute. It's a very clean car overall. You can probably see it in the background, and it doesn't need much. It's been sat for a little while, probably about 3 years. We're just going to do the general maintenance stuff and things like that. Let's get it up and running. We've got a few bits to do on it, a few cosmetic things and a few service things, preventative maintenance wise. And yeah, we're going to do a quick assessment on it and see what it needs. As you've seen already, it arrived on a trailer. It's not that it's a non-running car, it's actually a running car. We just didn't have time to go pick it up and bring it over, so we got it sent on a trailer. But yeah, let me show you quickly what needs doing to it and the things that we'd like to change on it, like cosmetically, just to get it up to scratch. And then we're getting a full detail done on the car as well. Probably one of those cars is come in and then we're going to enjoy it for a little while, use it for little bits and bobs because it is a Touring. You know, they're great for lugging things around in the back just because they're so big. So yeah, let's get to it. Let me show you a few things that it needs and then we'll take it from there. Here it is, E34 Touring. It's a 520i. It's one of the later versions. It's the M Reg. Clean overall, bodywork is really nice and I'm excited to get it up and running. It is a automatic, so it is a little bit of a cruiser. It's done 150,000 on the clock. It's got SE interior, nice in the back too, nice and clean. It's got the large sunroof, which also opens on the rear and the front, which is pretty cool. Very futuristic for these old cars. Here's a few things that we want to do. We want to change the badges on the wheels just to get them fresh. This door trim, it needs its new clips, and then the trim needs fitting back. It's come with the car. As I said, the wheels are going to get new badges on it. And then to be honest, overall it's very clean. Very cool thing about this car, it comes with a tow bar, so that little flap there comes off, and inside the boot there's a tow bar. I'll show you in a second. Around here looking pretty clean, not much needed doing in terms of bodywork. Yeah, overall really good. Let me show you in the boot. So the boot hatch doesn't work, you have to use the key to unlock it. So that's one thing, and the other thing is it's really heavy to lift up, so I'll maybe get the shocks changed, the pistons on either side, so I need to add that to the list. I have very cool cover over the top. I have already bought some service parts for it, so we're going to do that today. That is the molding, and that is the tow bar as well for the rear. So yeah, very cool. I think it's an optional extra to get one of those, to have the tow bar, and the electrics all fitted in there. All the tools are in there, or part of the tools. The rest of the tools are up here. Very cool place to keep it. Here's the rest of the tools. It is missing a few, but very cool indeed. It does need a few clips putting in there, which I've got, which I'll get all this clipped back in because it's literally falling apart. But yeah, check that space out. It's very cool indeed. So yeah, like I said, we're going to get the service bits done first, get it serviced, get some new oil in there, and then I'm going to do the cosmetics. So get the wheels, get them new badges on, get the moulding back on, and then I think I've also bought a new bonnet badge as well. So yeah, let's get it on, guys. Let's get this car serviced. Guys, just a quick overview of what I'm doing today. I'm going to do a change of oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, and the wipers, and then I'm going to assess what else this car needs. So in terms of a service, that's all I'm doing for now, and then I will check other things like the coolant, brake fluid, power steering fluid, all that kind of stuff while I'm there. So yeah, let's get started with that and we'll take it from there. So first thing I'm going to do is crack the drain plug, get this oil out of here. Right, I'm going to let that drain out. The next thing that I'm going to do is take the oil filter out and take the air filter out, and then put the new ones in and take it from there. So I'll stick you guys on a time lapse just because it's basically simple stuff. Air filter, oil filter, and then I think what I'll do next is put all the new oil in, and I'll then check all the spark plugs, check if they're all okay, and check all the coolant, the brake fluid, all that kind of stuff, the power steering fluid as well. That is oil and air filter done. I'm now going to move on to taking the spark plugs out and giving them a clean. I don't think they need changing because of the way the engine sounds, but let's give them a clean, and then I'm going to put fresh oil in and run it through the engine, check the levels, and we'll take it from there. I've taken all the spark plugs out. The spark plugs look a little bit worse for wear, so I might give them a change just because they look a little bit burnt, and also they don't look too bad on the tips either, but I might just get them changed anyway. So for now I might just give them a clean, stick them back in, and then when I get some time I'll buy some new ones, or I might just leave it like this for now, go pick up some new ones tomorrow because it is late right now, and stick them in tomorrow morning. So yeah. Okay, I've decided I'm just gonna stick some new ones in. I'll grab them tomorrow morning from a local parts store and then stick them in and put all these coil packs in. But for now, what I'll do is put the sump plug back in, put a new washer on it, and then put fresh oil in here. And then tomorrow I will run it in, put all the spark plugs back in. We can check the levels from there. In the meantime, what I might get on with is this strip here. Get these clips out, put the new ones that I've got, put them in, and then put the molding back on, and then I might do the wheels as well while I'm at it. Right, let's get this sump plug put back in. I'll put a new washer in as well, just for good measure. Actually, before I put that back in, I'm just going to give this a bit of a wipe. There is a slight oil leak. I think it's coming from this guy here, but I'll give that a bit of a clean up just to find the actual source. There we go, that goes in now. Gonna give this a bit of a clean. There you go, that's looking a lot better. Now that that is done, the next thing I want to do is do the fuel filter. So we're going to find where that is and change the fuel filter. Basically underneath the car now, and the fuel filter is right here, which is basically behind the driver's rear wheel. So we're going to get that changed now next. Right guys, that was a little bit difficult to film because I'm under the car and there was fuel literally falling all over the place, but there we go, job done. New fuel filter is in and I've put the lines back on and put the bracket back on, so that is all done now. So we can move on to the next thing, which is door molding. I want to put new clips on the door molding, which I'll show you now. That's the door molding. It needs putting into shape a little bit, and let's just get it back onto here. I've got new clips for that, so hopefully it should sit right. Get it. Actually, before I get onto the molding, I'm going to do the wipers. These do have blades on them, so, and the ones that have been supplied don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blade out of that and put it into this one. That way we can keep the fin. So guys, we're back. It's the next day and I've bought some new spark plugs. So that's one of the old ones and that's a new one. It's basically like for like NGKs. We got 6 of them because we got a straight 6. So yeah, I'm going to get on to fitting those in and then running the engine up and then checking the oil levels. I've already filled the oil in. I did that off camera just because my memory ran out. So let's get it. Right, that's the job done. Spark plugs are in and the coil packs are on and I've put the cover back on. There was a couple of bolts missing for the cover, so I've replaced them. Thought might as well just get it secured. Let's start the car now and let that oil run through the oil filter and then we'll check level. Just before I start the car, I'll show you what the level is now of the oil. I put this in yesterday. There we go. The oil is pretty much on full at the minute, but we do need to let it circulate around the engine. So I'm going to start it up now, let it go through the oil filter, which it'll fill up, and then we'll check the oil after about 30 seconds of letting it run. Let's get it. Right, let's get this bad boy started. Now the reason it didn't start up straight away is because I also changed the oil, the fuel filter, so it probably needed priming a bit. Let's try it again. So much better. Right, I'm going to give it about 30 seconds and then I'm going to knock it off. I think that's enough time just for the oil to circulate and we'll check the oil levels now. Right, let's check that now that I've filled it. That is pretty much halfway between the max and the min, which I am totally happy with. For now, I will run the car and take it for a drive and then check it. But happy with that so far. Cool, the next thing that I want to get onto is, so just a recap of what we've done so far. So I've done oil filter, air filter, oil, fuel filter at the back. So yeah, that's everything that I've done so far for the service. What I would like to check now is things like brake fluid. So I'm just gonna do a quick visual check. What's going on here? Looks like there's fluid in there and the fluid quality looks okay. I don't know the actual quality without doing a test, but I'm happy that it is actually full and looks decent. I'm just going to check the coolant next, make sure there's a good amount of coolant in there. Looks a little bit low, I might have to add a bit in there. And I can see the color down there is like, it's pretty green, so I'm happy with that. Just got to top it off. Let's check the power steering. Yeah, that is nice as well, topped off, which I'm happy about. Everything else seems to be good. This car actually comes with AC, which is pretty rare for an E34. It's normally an optional extra, so that's pretty cool. Overall, very happy, very happy. Car drives great. There's a little bit of a knock on the rear end, but I can't seem to find it. Car is getting a detail today, which I'm really excited about, so I'm going to be recording that too. Once the detail's done, I'm going to be changing the wheel caps, like I said, or the badges, and I'm also going to be fixing this door molding, which I think I'll do now. I know I said I'll do it before, but it got dark and yeah, just became hard to see, so I'm going to get onto that now. I bought some new clips for the door molding. They look like this. Basically just pop into the door and then you push this tab inside, which spreads this bit out and it basically holds it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those ones off, basically replace them with these. There we go, that moulding is now back on and on strong. It took a bit of persuasion to get the moulding to clip into the new clips, but we got there eventually and it's looking so much better. Right, the next thing I'm going to change is the bonnet badge. Yeah, it should be an easy one. Here's the nice new one. Super sorry guys, the phone memory ran out, but there we go. That badge is on good and it clipped in really nicely, so I'm confident that we don't need to use any glue there. But yeah, that's looking so much better. Small changes make a big difference. Right guys, that is looking so much better. The wheels, the badge just sets the wheels off so much. It's just crazy how a little difference like that does wonders to the car. Yeah, I'm excited to show you the car after the detail. I love this color as well. It's almost like steel blue but darker. But yeah, oh my days, I'm so happy with that. Yeah, that makes a big difference. So yeah, just waiting on the detailer to come and give it a good decontamination, and he's going to polish it as well and ceramic coat it. It's going to look amazing. Cannot wait for the results, so stay tuned for that, and hopefully I get all of this into one video, so at least you get to watch it in one go. Awesome. So Leon came over and did a full detail on this E34. Unfortunately, we couldn't record the entire process. However, if you've watched our other videos, you know exactly the quality of work he puts in to detail these cars. Right guys, it's another day and we're working on the Touring again. Today I have finally got the parts for the boot struts and the bonnet struts, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to fix up the loose toolbox that's in the back. The other thing that doesn't work on the car is boot latch doesn't open the boot. I have to use the key to open it, so I'm going to look into that. And then there was something else. I noticed there's a slight oil leak coming from the engine, so I can literally show you here right now. 1 second. Yeah, it's left a nasty patch on the floor, so I got to investigate that and see where that's leaking from. It wasn't happening before the service, happened after, so it might have been something that I've done, but let's give it a check. Anyway, the car's been detailed and it's looking so beautiful. Unfortunately, I didn't film the whole process of it being detailed, but man, the results are amazing. I'm so stoked with this result of the paintwork. It is literally absolutely so rust free, and there's hardly any dents on the car as well. It's just come up so beautiful. But yeah, let's get onto these few jobs, get them killed, and then move on to the other few bits that are pending. Right, I'm going to get onto the bonnet struts now. Let's get started with that. Well, not the bonnet struts, the boot struts. I'm going to get onto the boot struts now. I'll probably stick you guys on the time lapse. So that's all done now, and the tailgate lifts up really well, much more easier than the old ones. I also figured out that this car has one of the coolest features ever. So basically, if you press, there's a button here, so this one is meant to open the boot. It doesn't work at the minute, but if you press this one, it opens this. How cool is that? And you can access the boot literally. One sec, let me put you in 0.5 mode. You can open the boot. Oh, you can open just the glass, and this doesn't hold itself up. However, I have, well, what I found in the car when it came. Oh, that's so much better to open. There's some new struts, and these struts are for the glass. So I just managed to take this one out. Literally, I just pulled it out of there, and it literally fell out. So I guess we could fit some new struts to it, and it will work so well. Awesome! So excited about that. Right, I'm not going to get them fitted now because I think that is a bit of a mission to get those struts in. However, the boot struts are now done. I'm going to move on to the bonnet struts and get them fitted because I've got replacement ones for them. So let's get it. There you go, guys, that was pretty easy. I made a bit of a mistake. I was trying to take the whole clip out, but all you got to do is move this, put a screwdriver in that, move this clip out, and it literally just slots out. Same thing on the other side. Just pry this clip out a bit and the whole thing slots out. And my struts came with basically a replacement clip, so it didn't matter that I broke the old ones. I could just use the new ones. Right, I'm going to get onto the other side now. So I've just done the driver's side, and I was wrong about the clips. Make sure you don't break them because I had to reuse them for the strut. Just because of replacement clips, they were not retaining the strut in its place correctly. So yeah, reuse them, place your strut. My old struts, I believe, are probably the original BMW ones because they got E34 stamped on it and also BMW logo. So I think these have never been replaced. These are OEM BMW. There we go, both sides are now done. I've changed the clips as well. I've used the original clips that came with the car just because they clip on better. So yeah, definitely take that into consideration. But finally, it literally holds itself up now. I think I can do that and give it a little push and it'll literally go back up. That is so much better and safer when you're working on the car. The next job that I'm going to get onto is this. I'm going to try and get this nice and secured, so let's get it. Right, that is now solid. There is a turn clip missing here, like this one, but I'm going to try and source that. However, just to show what I did, basically I've got a kit of these clips which came in a kit that I bought, and there's loads of them, loads of different variations of clips, and all I've done is basically plug any holes that are missing a clip. So there was about 4 holes that were missing a clip, and that is literally holding it in so much better now. That is properly in and it's not flapping about anymore. So that is all done now, apart from that one turn clip, which I'll try and find a replacement one and get it fitted. So yeah, that's job all done. So we're killing the jobs off the list, and the next thing that I'm doing is the boot strut for the glass part of this tailgate. And honestly, this was the most difficult job ever. The space you're given here is literally nothing, and to get these struts in was super challenging. So I've done the boot struts for the glass, so the hatch now holds itself up. I've then given it a nice clean around that area, so that literally holds itself really well and functions perfectly. Honestly, I keep saying this, but it's one of the coolest features ever. So yeah, that is now the bonnet struts. So the boot strut's done, the glass hatch strut's done, bonnet strut's done, and the next thing I'm going to move on to is the leaky engine. So we're going to see why it's leaking and get that repaired. So we're going to move on to that next. We are working on the rocker cover gasket. It's literally been leaking all over the floor, and I suspect it's a rocker cover gasket because I can see it seeping down the side of the engine. Let's get on to that job. I've got the parts for it, and we're going to hopefully get it sorted and hope that it fixes the oil leak, because it's a pretty bad oil leak. It's been leaking all over my driveway, and yeah, it's one of those things. It's there are some leaks on BMWs which you can kind of accept, like a little drip here and there. That's just the normal nature of an old BMW, but this one's a pretty bad leak, and every time I drive it and park it up, it leaves the biggest patch on the floor. So we're gonna get that sorted. Fingers crossed it sorts this oil leak out. Right guys, so the way that I'm going to start is I'm going to start removing these covers, and then under there are all the coil packs which I'm going to remove, and then I'm going to work my way around the cover, the rocker cover, and take all the bolts out that we need to take out. So that's where I'm going to start, and then we're going to take it from there basically, and then hopefully we'll see the condition of that rocker cover gasket. Let me go grab the other one which I can show you now. So this is the rocker cover gasket that I'm using. It's a gasket kit. I got this directly from BMW for this car. This is the part number if you want to use it. So yeah, this is the gasket I'm going to use. Hopefully it sorts the problem out. I'm sure it will, but yeah, let's get to it. Let's start stripping this rocker cover off, and also just a little bit of a indication of why I think it's the rocker cover gasket. As you can see right here, there's loads of oil leaking onto this pipe, and that is coming literally directly from the rocker cover. And yeah, there's plenty of oil coming out of here, literally seeping out of this gasket. So yeah, that tells me that it is the gasket. Cool. Let's take this rocker cover off, and we'll take it from there. Right guys, I got to this stage where I've taken the cover off and all the coil packs off, and I've taken that cover off as well. So where we go from here is we take all these bolts out now around the whole perimeter of the rocker cover, and also these bolts here, here, here and here from the middle of the rocker. So I am now going to take those off and then take the cover off from there. You might have seen that I've put the oil filler cap back on, just because it's a good idea to do that, because you don't want to be dropping anything in there. Even though you're taking things off, they're taking this cover off anyway, it's better just to keep that on, because when we reverse this process, you don't want to drop anything in there, because then you're going to take this whole cover off again and take that thing you dropped out. I wanted to take this out of the way, but I think the injectors are connected under there, so I've left that there, and I've just used a big zip tie just to hold the cabling out of the way, the cabling for the coil packs, and that has given me enough clearance so far so I can see every single bolt. So yeah, these bolts don't look too bad, they look very easy to access, and it should be good. So yeah, let's stick it on time lapse and continue. So guys, I've just taken this, taken the rocker cover off now. Literally just pulls off. There we go. And I dropped a few things. Probably out of frame. Yep. There we go.
That's it, that's in frame.
Yeah, that's looking nasty, so I'm going to give that a nice clean and get it looking good. Just put this down. Okay, so the cover is off, and these are the gaskets. So these seem nice and soft actually, they're not too bad. I'm not too worried about them. I'm more concerned about this gasket, and this does feel hard at the moment. It's pretty soft, but it's not as soft as I'd like it to be. Yeah, this feels very hard. I will be putting silicone sealant on the bottom corners just to give it that extra bit of protection when I'm sealing it off, just to give it that extra seal so it doesn't leak. But yeah, this gasket does feel hard and doesn't feel right at all, so it's a good thing that we changed it. Let's get this prepped and get the new one on. This is the new one. Awesome. I'm going to do a few things here before I actually do them. I'm going to give this a clean, so I'll probably do a quick time lapse of that, and then I'm going to clean around the edges around here, give that all a clean and a spray down, and then any excess oil around here I'm just going to spray it all off and just give it a good clean, just so that it's ready for the new gasket to put on. I mentioned silicone earlier, I meant gasket sealer, instant gasket, just on these bottom corners here, basically just to give it a good seal and make sure it doesn't leak any oil. I'm going to do the same on the half moons at the end there as well. So yeah, let's get it. Right guys, I've given that a nice clean now. The idea was to get most of that crud off. That I didn't want this to be perfect, I just wanted it to be clean and get all that old oil, cruddy oil off for it, which that is done now. What I'll next do is go around the edges with a sharp blade and just get that all cleaned up, and then also get this all cleaned up around there and get it all prepped for the new gasket. Right, as you saw, I went round with a sharp blade all the way around the perimeter of this. I don't know if it was factory or if someone done it afterwards in the past, but there was paint all along the perimeter of this rocker cover, and I got a feeling that that's probably one of the main reasons why it was leaking, as well as the gasket itself. So yeah, I've cleaned all that off, and now it's like a nice smooth surface for the gasket to mate onto. I've also given this a clean as well, so that should take the gasket much better. Guys, I forgot to mention that literally putting it back is the reverse process of what I took it out. I did notice that there are some washers missing over here. I have put the bolts back in, but I will buy the washers and put the washers in and then bolt it back up. I also dropped a bolt down the side down there. It's a little bit dark now, so I'm not going to bother with that yet. I'll fish that out later. But yeah, like I said, reverse process of everything. Just be careful of this ground wire, because that needs to be put back in its place with the stud bolt underneath. Literally put it all back together. That should seal it up nicely. The other thing I didn't mention as well is I've put instant gasket along the bottom corners around here where all the bolts are. So I literally put it around here and around here, because these are the main areas of failing points. So put it around there and literally around that corner as well, and on the half moons at the back of the engine, they definitely need it, so put it in there as well. So hopefully this seals it all up nicely. I'm just going to continue with piecing this back together now. So I found some washers to replace the ones that were missing on this car, and this was just from a parts drawer that I had, just parts, basically a bucket full of parts. I managed to find 5 washers that were missing. So yeah, I'm gonna basically stick them back in. I'm gonna bolt everything up. Remember guys, I've done this on the E46 video where I've done a rocker cover gasket job. It's literally the same process. When I'm putting my bolts back, I'm nipping up all the middle bolts first so that the rocker cover sits even, and then I'm working my way round, up and down across the rocker, just so that this sits evenly. So yeah, let's get onto that. Let's put this all back together, and let's just hope that this job is sealing up the oil from leaking everywhere. And let's hope that it's not anything else, because it could potentially be the oil filler gasket. It could be something else, who knows. But process of elimination. To be honest, it was not actually a process of elimination. I could physically see oil seeping down the edge of this, so I'm putting my money on that it was this being the culprit of the oil leak. However, it could be a couple of things, so you never know. Let's fit it all back together and get it started. Right guys, that is this job done. The rocker cover gasket is all sorted now. So what we've done, just as an overview on this vehicle so far, is we've done a full service. So oil filter, air filter, and the spark plugs, and then we've done the check on all the fluids on the car. The car comes up to temperature really well, and now we've done the rocker cover gasket. There was a few other things that we did on this car as well, which were cosmetics, and we'll get onto that later. But basically, in terms of the engine, I'm happy with how the engine is now running, and hopefully this is not leaking anymore. I did give it a good clean underneath with brake cleaner, just to clear all the oil out under it, just to see if there's any other leaks that are happening. Fingers crossed there's not. If there are, I suspect that the oil filter gasket is leaking, or potentially some of the seals at the front. But those are normally the main suspects, the rocker cover gasket and that. So for now, that is it. I've actually also noticed something which is really strange. Someone's put a garden hose between that junction and that junction. I'm going to replace that right now, so it's got a proper hose on it. So let's get that one. I found a piece of pipe that basically fits in there perfectly. I did try and use some pipe that I had, but it was just way too small. Let's see the garden hose, which was great attempt, nice one, whoever did that. It's sort of that diameter that it should be. Yeah, it's just way off. So I managed to find a pipe that was the right size, and that's all done. Another one of the jobs that I wanted to do on this car was the toolbox clip, and I managed to get this from BMW. That's the part number if anybody wants it, and literally it was only about £5 I think for that little plastic piece, and it's definitely worth it when you just want to complete a job like this. Yeah, that's not good. But at least this is all now strung because of the fix that we did. But let's get this clip in, and that will complete that bit, and we'll have a nice finished trim there. Oh, toolbox. Yeah, nice finished toolbox that will hold itself together. This should be really easy. It's this clip, it should just pop in there, just like that one, and that should hold it together. So yeah, let's get it in. Should literally just clip in. Bingo, there we go. And get that in there. And can line it up. There we go. Give it a twist. Bingo, there we go. That's all sorted. Job done. That's looking much better. This is the benefit of a Touring. We get to use it for the bulky work. I've obviously covered it all up because we're putting some pieces of wood and things like that to go to the tip. But check that out. How cool is that? Such a practical car. This is why I love this car, honestly. It is just, I just love it. Just love it. Check this out, the car is literally full to the brim with so much scrap stuff. Well, stuff that I need to take to the tip for a wardrobe job at one of the houses. So look how practical that is. It's just so cool. Obviously I've done the due diligence to cover everything up, but yeah man, just shows how practical these cars are, and it absolutely looks the business too while we're doing it, man. Just a gorgeous car, look at that. So guys, the E34 Tourer is struggling to change gears, so we're going to do a gearbox service on it. So as you can see guys, the gearbox is basically holding its gear for way too long. I'm on a private road here, but basically yeah, it's just not changing gears at the right time. So this makes me think that either the transmission fluid is low or it's bad, or most probably bad. So I'm just gonna do a gearbox service on it anyway. Guys, we got the E34 on a ramp. I'm borrowing a friend's ramp for this job to get the gearbox service done. So just a quick run over what I'm going to do. I'll probably time lapse this, but I'm basically going to take the pan off. So I'm going to, well, first of all, I'm going to drain all the gearbox oil out of here from the drain. I'm going to crack this nut because that's where I'm going to fill it from. It's a 17mm hex, and then I think all of these are 10mm. So I'm going to take off the whole pan and then remove the filter. Right now I'm going to take this off and stick you guys on a time lapse. While the oil is draining, just want to show you the new parts that I've got. So I've got a new sump gasket, a new filter, and some magnets to put in. So yeah, let's get this thing off. Right guys, the sump is off, and that is the old filter. It's held in by 3 bolts, 1, 2, and the third one here, 3. So we're going to whip those off, and that is the new filter. So we're going to put that in. Comes with new bolts as well, so I'm going to whack them in. Like I said, new gasket, that old one's coming off. These are the magnets, by the way, so I'm going to see how dirty they are. I could reuse them, to be honest, just give them a clean and reuse them, but I do have new ones and they're round as well, so I'm going to stick them in, and away we go. Let's get it. That's the new filter on. I'm going to give it a wipe down before I put the pan back on, but before I do that, let's give this pan a clean and get those magnets changed. There we go guys, new magnets and a new gasket. Let's get this sump fitted back on. All the bolts are back in around the sump is back on. Now we've got to fill the oil through this gap, so I'm going to use like a pump or something of some sort and fill that oil up until it drips out. and then we're going to start the car because then it will go through the entire torque converter, and then we're going to lift it back up. Well, we'll put it through the gears and stuff while it's on. Then we'll lift it back up while it's on and fill it up until that leaks out, and that means it is done. Right guys, so this is the setup. We've got transmission fluid in there, we've got a pump and a battery to run the pump. So it's going to basically suck up the fluid through that, pump it through the pipe, and then this is basically going to go in there, and that's how we're going to fill it. There we go, it's starting to leak out now, and that's where we're going to stop. So that is currently full now, but what we have to do is start the car and let it run through the whole gearbox, and then while it's running, put the ramp back up and keep filling it until this happens again, and then we are done. Let's get it. Right, let's get the car down, make sure it don't hit. That should be enough. Should give enough room to give it a start. Actually, let's get inside so that we can run it through the gears. Right, let's start her up. Just gonna let it run for a second. What I might do is jump in so that I can run it through the gears. Let's put it in drive. Just run it through the gears. Put it in reverse. Run that. Alright, and then I'm gonna leave it in neutral and then send it back up while it's still running. Let's do it. That should be enough. Right, now while it's running, like I said, we're gonna do that process again, get that filled up until it starts leaking out again, and then tap it off and we are done. That's it. I think we're done. JD, guys, JD. Right guys, that is all done now. Everything's nipped back up. I've nipped up the bleed valve, and make sure that, sorry, the drain one, make sure that you put that back on before you start filling, because I started filling it and it started pouring out of here. So make sure you put that back on. That's all nipped up. Everything is all good. I've checked everything now and I think we're good to go. Let's get it down. Right guys, I'm just testing the car on a private road, as I mentioned before, and straight away I could tell that the gears are changing much sooner than they were before. So whatever we did, the oil and the filter, it has made a massive difference. I'm chuffed about that. I am chuffed. So this brings us to the end of the repairs for this lovely E34 520i Touring. The next few things that we had planned for this car were to lower it on either shocks and springs or a set of coilovers, and then we were planning to put a set of wheels on it, like a set of M-Pars or Star 32s. We also had eyes on a black leather sports interior. This is our usual ATB touch. As you know, these are super practical, so we were planning to use it as a ATB workhorse. It suits the bill for being a great classic BMW long distance cruiser with practicality and a timeless design. Just as we started to enjoy this car, a rare opportunity arose, and it was a chance to acquire this E34 M5. We had no choice but to raise the funds for it by selling the E34 Tourer, so it had to go. There was literally nothing more left to do on this E34 Touring apart from add some personality to it. So we decided to advertise it, and without any surprise, it was literally sold in a matter of 48 hours, mostly due to its pristine condition. And as a bonus, the new owner was a BMW enthusiast and promised the E34 would live on. We believe that when you save a BMW, you don't just restore a car, you keep its legacy alive. So here we are saying goodbye to the E34. Do you think we should have kept the E34, or do you think that we made the right call? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.